Deafrowe with Deafrowe TV, and I'm back again with another review. And for this week, we're going to be talking about the 2006 movie Pulse. But before I get started, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell so you know when I'm going to post another review. And of course, I'm going to do the 2006 Pulse because this Pulse movie has two sequels, which I will also be reviewing after this one. So stay tuned for Pulse 2 and 3 to follow after this one. So let's get started on Pulse 2006. And yes, I do know that there is a 2001 Japanese version, and actually one of the writers or the writer for the Japanese version of the 2001 movie is also a co-writer of this 2006 movie Pulse, along with Wes Craven and Ray Wright. And the director on this one is Jim Sanzero. And of course, we get started in this movie. We're going to talk about the cast here. Just a pretty good all-star cast in my opinion, in a lot of ways. You have Kristen Bell playing the main character of Maddie, Rick Gonzalez playing Stone, one of the friends, Christina Milan playing Isabel Fuentes, Ian Somerhalder playing Dexter, which you would recognize him from Lost or Vampire Show that my wife likes. And you might even catch Octavia Spencer in this. She just plays a small role as the landlady. Uh, Don Rifkin, Dr. Watterson, and a couple other characters here as well. I think we got Brad Dourif shows up in this a little bit too. He always makes a movie that much better. Um, Sam Levine as Tim. He plays one of the other characters, and Jonathan Tucker as Josh, which is where the movie starts in this case. We start off with we see Josh here coming into the dormitory or the library of the college and going down to the computer room for some odd reason, or the library computer area, or just the library in general. Anyway, he's seeing things around and everything is kind of like spooking him and he doesn't understand why. And Josh is an apparent boyfriend to Maddie, but but she's been kind of like putting her off, or basically ignoring her for a little while and all this other stuff. And now he's in this library trying to figure out what to do. And as he's in this library, all kinds of hell breaks loose, and of course this you know creature comes out of nowhere and pretty much sucks the soul out of him, or I guess you could say the steam, whatever you want to call it. That's what they like to call it. Stephen King's stuff is called steam. Suck the soul out of you. And then it cuts to Kristen Bell's character Maddie, and they're at a bar with the friends uh, Stone, Isabel, and Tim, and they're all kind of like chatting around, trying to figure out like why isn't Josh there, why hasn't he called, and all this other stuff. And Tim's kind of hitting on Maddie a little bit with the cell phone, texting her and all this stuff while they're in the bar. Now, granted, this is 2006, so you all the cell phones and stuff that you see in this movie are like razor flip phones and those little slide up phones with the keyboards and shit. So it is a little dated. I give it that. It is a little dated, but the reason I wanted to review this movie because, in my opinion, this movie is even scarier now than it was when it was made, as far as how the technology has evolved since this movie. And this movie makes me is even scarier to me now than it was before for lots of reasons, and I'll get into that later. So we go further down into it. Normal day in college, all this other stuff. She's trying to find out where Josh is and all. Normal day, you know. basically they're kind of setting up the plot that these are just your typical college kids doing college things, and then she decides to go finally check up on Josh and see what's going on. And when she gets there, he's all like, looks like he's pretty much dead. I mean, and his apartment is a mess. It reeks. She opens up the refrigerator. There's like rotten food and crap in there. She opens up the closet. And there's like this dead cat in there. See this crap right here. And Josh is like, just stay right there for a minute. And then like he grabs a cord and goes to the room, to the very back of the hallway. Anyway, she opens up the closet and like this is like, well, if I can get a good shot of that, it's kind of gross. This like cat is pretty much like dying. She hears that noise. Oh, that's gross. It's like a dead cat. Pretty cool. I mean, it's practical effects, obviously, but whatever. Anyway, so she goes down the hall and then she finds Josh hanging by the cord in his room. And just so you guys know, if you're not do not watch this movie if you can't handle scenes of suicide, because a lot of that happens in this movie for reasons of this wireless connection coming through and these creatures coming through of some sort. And basically, that's what sets up this whole movie. Is she wants to Josh commit suicide based on the stuff that he's found on the internet and the signal that he had hacked into, and she's having to see a psychiatrist about it. The psychiatrist is like, "Don't blame yourself," and all this stuff. Obviously, whatever. And she's like, "Yeah, I get it." She's like, "What if I had checked on him sooner?" But then about midday, she gets a message from Josh after he's killed himself and saying, "Help me, help me, help me," and all this other stuff. And then she's like, "Somebody's playing a prank on me." So she sends Stone over there to check out the apartment and turn the computer off so she'll stop getting messages from Josh. And of course, as you see, this is the first time we see this. It's not the first time. We do see it when she goes into the apartment, but this is the first time we see a full display in the window of the red tape. It's just red packing tape. Anyway, so Stone goes in there, tries to find the computer to turn it off, and he's having a hard time finding it. And so he takes the tape off of the window so he can see what he's doing in the room and tries to find the computer, but then something is coming after him in the room and climbs up underneath the bed. But that doesn't do anything because of the entity or whatever it is sneaks up on him, peeks over the bed and gets him, and then of course sucks his soul out, or his life essence, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, we go further on, and now her and Isabel are talking about something. Maddie and Isabel are talking about the whole ordeal, and she's saying that she's still getting the messages, and Isabel's like, "Well, didn't Stone go over there?" It's like, "I just talked to Stone, but he sounds like something's wrong with him too." And so she don't want to mess with Stone too much, and Stone's like freaking out because like stuff that happened to him in the apartment. So she decides to go over to the apartment to turn the computer off, and then she gets there. Everything's been cleared out by then, and that's where you meet the landlord, Miss Octavia Spencer herself, in one of her earlier roles as a small part on this movie as the landlord. She apparently sold it to another guy who just wanted it for like $400 and to get it out of her way. And the reason she sold it is because she hadn't been paid rent in 2 months. So she's like, I can't get my money back somehow. So she tracks down the guy that she sold the computer to because the check bounced, and she basically just gives her the check and says, "Hey, he's here." So, and then that's when we finally meet Ian, which is played by Ian. I mean, not Ian. Dexter. His name is Dexter, and he's played by Ian Somerhalder. Uh, and he tells her, it's like, the computer's been in the trunk all day. I haven't been messaging you or anything. She like thinks that he's playing a prank, whatever. Well, finally he gets the computer inside. Finally hooks it up and sees what's going on, and it starts like this weird shit. It's like, do you want to see a ghost? And it pops up and it starts showing like images of these people doing different weird things on like a webcam type setting. And then she gets back to the house and she's got mail from apparently Josh. And Josh basically has sent her like a package of the red tape, telling her like it helps keep them out or whatever. Anyway, she's taking like a bath here. She starts to see things now because she's getting closer and closer to what Josh was into. And she's go back to the psychiatrist. Psychiatrist's like, "Hey, you're not crazy. Whatever. Keep going." And as you go further along, you start to kind of see around the college campus. Like at the very beginning of the movie, you saw like crowds and crowds of kids running around this college. And about halfway into this movie, and you start seeing less and less, kids running around this college, and you wonder like, what's going on here? And even she is like experiencing things around the college herself, like this right here, like some type of entity is following her around, shadows and glitching images and that kind of thing. Like there's a connection that's being not quite fully there. So then, yeah, so then that's when Tim, the other friend, decides to go check up on Stone. Well, when he goes to check up on Stone, he finds his computer with the weird images on there, and turns around and finds Stone is like disintegrating and turning into ash. Like he was gonna go, and that's a lot of the reason why these people are committing suicide. They don't want to turn into ash, so they figure just commit suicide and whatever. Like that's what he was gonna do, and then all of a sudden he just starts turning into ash instead. Then I mean all kinds of weird looking stuff here. Yeah, so there you go. So it's like ash, like a static. Yeah, and then the psychiatrist gets a dose of it himself too because he like turns his computer on and all of a sudden he sees a signal or a camera image of his daughter, and you kind of make the assumption that it's his daughter because of the picture that's next to it on the desk. And you're like, oh shit, stuff starts happening to him too. And then finally, Maddie goes back to Ian, and Ian's trying to show her this video of Josh, not Ian. I keep wanting to call him Ian. His character name is Dexter. Anyway, Dexter is trying to show her this video of Josh that he left like a video diary of some sort. And the diary is explaining like where the signal came from, who he hacked it from, and all this stuff. And this guy named Ziegler. And so that's when him and Maddie figure out they got to find this guy named Ziegler to find out what's really going on and where this signal's coming from. So, and then like Dexter even points out that he found like a USB drive on the inside of the computer, like taped to it, like it was a virus that he was working on in order to take the signal down. But he didn't live long enough to figure to implement it or get close enough to Ziegler to figure out where the signal was coming from, where the main hub from the signal was coming from. And then we see Isabel down in the laundry room trying to do stuff, and then she starts seeing all kinds of stuff too. Like the signal's getting stronger and stronger as it spreads from computer to computer, from thing to thing, and these creatures, whatever, they're coming into a fourth dimension, wireless. You know what it could even be just something playing with the mind as well. It might not even be actual creatures. It just could be making people see things to the effect that it gives them PTSD of some sort. It makes them go crazy, like that. Anyway, and then this news starts to break that the military and the government are trying to come up with a plan to try to fix this virus that has basically gone countrywide, worldwide. Now things are getting a lot worse, and you know, things are getting crazier and crazier. That's when, yeah, even Tim here, he starts to see things too, and Tim gets the red tape and takes up his whole room and everything. But he makes the mistake of taking the tape off the eye hole, and it comes right through the eye hole and gets Tim. So then we cut back to Isabel, and Isabel's got the bruising and stuff all over her face from basically losing her soul and everything. So I don't want to die, but I'm too afraid to do it. It is such a weird, you know, she's too afraid to off herself, but she's in so much pain and deteriorating from the bruising and everything and fisting to turn to ash. And that's basically what ends up happening here. And like there's no like she's trying to call 911 and stuff like that, and there's nobody picking up because everybody has contracted or has been affected by this signal, this Wi-Fi signal, or this whatever it is that's coming through is getting into everybody's head. And then of course that's when we see Maddie, not Maddie. Maddie turns around and looks at Isabel, and she is basically just turned to ash and disappeared. So Isabel's gone now, and more people are getting affected by this. Maddie and Dexter, they decide they got to figure this out. They got, and even while they're trying on the way to get Gerald, I forget the character's name now. The guy that Josh had stolen the signal from, Ziegler. They on the way to trying to find him, they get hit by another car, and they look in the car, and the person is gone. There's nothing but ash in the seats, and like stuff is happening on a grander scale. Like these things are spreading fast and wide since the signal has been let out. And they meet this old couple and a young kid, and they're trying to tell these two get to where there's no signal, get out to the country where the signal can't come through, get rid of your cell phone and all this other stuff too. Anyway, they finally find Ziegler, and he's like in this room with all this red tape taped up in the room. And he's pissed off. And basically, he's explaining like Josh is the one that let them in, let them out. The red tape is the only thing. For some reason, this red packing tape it's like acts as a film that doesn't allow no signal to get through, and so like he's got this whole room taped up like in this red tape. And he finally tells him, "I can't help you" or whatever. And it's like, but he does tell him where the computer, the server area is, where they can go take the USB and load it onto the servers and maybe turn the signal off or shut it all down or whatever. So that's kind of what Maddie and Dexter tried to do. And Maddie gets there and sees that like there's this camera behind her, but it's not really a camera behind her anywhere. So she's like, "How's this happening? How's it? I'm on the screen when I'm not even in front of a camera." And that's when like one of these entities comes through and starts messing with her head, and Dexter has to like jump in and save her from doing that. And Dexter finally goes back and he finally gets the virus loaded onto the computer. Everything shuts down and you think everything's good, but then the damn thing reboots and starts itself right back up again. So in the end, the virus does not work, the one that Josh had created. And so now their only alternative is to grab a vehicle and get the hell out of Dodge. And that's kind of what they end up doing. Because as you can see, things are getting a lot worse in town, in the city. There's like thousands, like hundreds of people standing on the rooftop and stuff like that. And then like airplanes crashing, tons of shit. Hold on. See if I can catch that little piece there, right here. There's like hundreds of people standing on the rooftop ready to jump. Like you can see it kind of right here. All those people fixing or wanting to jump, and then you see the freaking airplanes going down. I mean, the whole 9 yards. Like the world is coming to an end. And I didn't even show you Brad Dorf's part, but Brad Dorf, there's a little part where uh, Dexter and Maddie are in like a little coffee shop talking about what Josh did and all this stuff, and Brad Dorf has like this whole end of the world speech that he does in the movie. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it does add a little flavor to it, in my opinion. It's probably kind of cool, and I like that he's in there doing that kind of thing. This is 2006, so it would have been after he did, Lord of the Rings. So definitely, if anything, if you watch this movie, watch out for him to pop up in that one little scene. But as you can see, shit's going down. So the world's coming to the end. They grab a truck and head out to the country. But as they're heading, I mean, as they're like on the road there, the cell phone catches signal again, and all these creatures come through again trying to mess with him. So he takes the truck and keeps going until the signal finally dies out. And then, basically, she's talking about how the world's come to an end, and we're having to move out in the middle of nowheres and all these places. We have these encampments and stuff where there's no cell phone signal, no Wi-Fi signal, no signal of any sort coming through, so those things can't get to people. And that pretty much ends the entire movie right here with Pulse 2006. Now, reason I was saying at the very beginning that I think this movie is scarier now than it was back in 2006 is because now we have things like AI, and we have things like people wanting to put chips on their brains, or in and around the brain to help them think better and all, and make them smarter and that kind of thing. Here's the thing: if you got AI and you got these chips in your brain, let's say somebody decides to hack you. put these visuals in your eye, you don't know whether they're real or not. Say AI decides to hack the chip that's in your brain and starts messing with your own reality. You don't want to. You don't. Well, you will not know what is real or not, or what is attacking you right in front of you, or is it nothing there. I'm just saying this movie is scarier to me because of the possibilities of the technology we have today versus 2006, even more so. So, with that in mind, watch this movie again as a whole different way to look at it. Uh, and as far as the red tape goes, the only thing I can understand about the red tape is so the signal won't get through and they can't attack them. But in order for these creatures to come through, and maybe they're extra dimensional creatures coming in through the signal that this guy found, but in order for them to get through and scare your soul out of you or whatever and draw it out, is you have to see them. Well, I don't understand throughout this whole movie, and this is something I, thought of just today watching it, is why didn't somebody just take some of that tape and put it over their glasses and go around just wearing some rose color tinted glasses? And then you wouldn't have to tape up every dang thing around you. You just have some red glasses on or goggles even, get it all the way around your eyes so there's nothing coming through. I'm surprised nobody really actually thought of that in this movie for the movie or whatever, but that's just my opinion. They could have done that maybe, because it seems to me that was the whole ordeal, was the red tape was a way to keep the signal out, but the signal only affected you if you saw it. Like, that was the way they drew the energy and the soul or your essence out of you, is you see them, they attach to you, and they draw it out through the eyes. So I would think, like this red tint you see here, take that red tint and put it on some glasses or some goggles, and close the goggles as best you could, and you could just walk around anywhere. You wouldn't have to worry about the signal getting through, or at least you wouldn't have to worry about them drawing your soul out of you. You know, just my opinion. What can I say? So yeah, so here's like somebody had caught on to the whole thing with the red tape right here. Ceiling of the room, doors and windows must be airtight. See, I don't understand the airtight thing. Don't forget keyhole. Disconnect computer. Hide. So yeah, I mean it's yeah. So here's the Brad Dorff part. I just wanted to go back and show you that he is in the movie, and if you recognize him, you recognize him. That's who Brad Dorff is. Awesome actor. Needs to be in a lot more movies, in my opinion. But that is what I. But yeah, if I had to give this a rating, as far as I would give this a rad rating for, as 75% maybe. 3 stars, 3.5 even. Because like I said, if you look at it in the element of today's technology, this movie is a lot scarier than it is what it was in 2006. If you really think about the stuff that's coming out, so that's the reason I say that. But without, so yes, I give 75% on critic list, a 3.5 stars in my opinion. Great movie. Go watch it. See if what I'm saying is making sense to you. Is it scarier now than it was before? Because the technology we have now is even more powerful, and people are more sucked into looking in their phones and being on the internet and doing all kinds of things with the internet and their phones these days than any time even in 2006. It's hard to believe that's almost 20 years ago. It's right at 18 years ago when this movie came out. Crazy. But that's it. That's my review, and that's Deafrowe out.